Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here, and of course we're back from the likes of Sonic's Game Gear Marathon via the Maxi Toys YouTube channel. So even then though, last time that I believe Twilight Sparkle has now recently finished up with this terrible version of Sonic Spinball, which, for what I can gather, that she actually did a perfect run-through on Sonic Spinball, if I recall correctly, because, for one, that she doesn't die on that game, which is a huge plus for that department right there, and I believe out of all the Game Gear Sonic titles we've recently played through, Sonic Spinball is the one game that we actually did done the no-death run, so even then though, give her credit for it, because even then though, that she found the game really easy, but at the same time, a little bit too clumsy and flimsy at times for that particular version, and of course, yes, the Mega Drive Let's Play on Sonic Spinball should definitely happen in June at the end of this year, so even then though, that will gonna be saved up during the later times, so even then though, yeah. So yeah, that's Sonic Spinball out the way, thanks to, you know, Twilight Sparkle recently finished that. So today for this particular video, especially noticeable in the later onwards and then during the, possibly the future days possibility, is the fact that recently that Mickey Mouse is now, he's going to be doing Sonic Triple Trouble. That, as we promised guys, that yes, we're now going to be finally going to be doing Sonic Triple Trouble, which is actually the 4th installment of the main handheld Sonic games on the handheld console. So even then though, at this point there won't be any Master System versions differences this time around, so the majority of the remaining games, as far as that's been concerned, are most likely just Game Gear exclusive titles. And Triple Trouble is actually the exclusive Game Gear title, speaking of such. But even then though, that's we will discuss more to that until we get into later time. So even then though, ladies and gentlemen, we'll present to you Sonic Triple Trouble starring Mickey Mouse. So good luck with that, Mickey, and I'm sure you will be. Ahoy y'all everyone, I'm Mickey Mouse here, and I'm from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, and today, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next installment of the Sonic's Game Gear Marathon, for that department right there. The game we're going to be talking through is actually forms of the sequel to Sonic Chaos. Well, usually back in Japan's version of Sonic Chaos, they normally calls it Sonic and Tails. But even then though, that we will discuss more details as soon as we proceed to this game in particular. So, this game is actually known as Sonic Triple Trouble. So even then though, that's how the title suggests. Not only do we actually bring back Dr. Robotnik is up to no good again, in addition to we actually have ourselves the first ever debut of Knuckles the Echidna in the Game Gear career. But even though technically his first appearance was obviously Sonic the Hedgehog 3, mind you, but I digress though. So much like how it does in Sonic Chaos, or Sonic and Tails in Japan, that you can either select either Sonic or Tails alone. So even then though, as far as you might guys, you probably already know, I'm going to be using Sonic for this run through. So even then though, yeah, because you know, Sonic has always been the main character of the entirety of the Sonic series. In Japan, and the game suggests, as usually calls it that, is that in the Japanese version of Sonic Triple Trouble, that this game is also known as Sonic and Tails 2, because as far as the game suggests, it's more likely a spiritual sequel to Sonic Chaos. Because as far as I can tell, because the visuals on the HUD, like the rings, time, and extra lives placement, is actually almost feels identical to the Sonic Chaos version, except the fact that the extra life was now at the very bottom of the entirety of the top left corner of the screen. So even then, that's the only major differences between the, you know, between these two titles. So, and as far as you guys should probably already know, this is actually the Game Gear exclusive title. So, no longer going to be the Master System exclusive, as far as at this point and onwards, because, well, at least if you want to actually hack the Master System version of Sonic Triple Trouble by using a bootleg. But unfortunately, I don't have the ability to actually do that. But in reality, it's more accurately the Game Gear exclusive title. So, originally, it would try to come out on the Master System, but due to the fact they've pretty much done with the Master System stuff from now on. So, yeah, that's all I can really gather about it. So yeah, if you ever played Sonic Chaos before, you know exactly how you're going to be doing with Sonic Triple Trouble this time around. that the gameplay itself is almost identical to the likes of Sonic Chaos. And speaking of such, though, we'll get to the gameplay style differences when we get to later on. Here we actually get ourselves the first special stage in Sonic Triple Trouble. Different than the likes of Sonic 1, and especially noticeable in Sonic Chaos, is that in Sonic 1 you have to collect 50 rings in order to actually reach to the very end of the goal signpost. And also in Sonic Chaos is that you have to collect 100 rings per act of the level, and you simply manage to transport to the special stage alone. But even then, though, what's nice about that special stage in Sonic Chaos is that you can actually skip the entire level without even going back into the previous level you've already been into. So the difference this time around in the special stages in Sonic Triple Trouble is the fact that, in order to actually get to one of these special stages, that you have to collect 50 rings, just like Sonic 1. But difference is this time around, though, is that taking a note from the checkpoint markers from Sonic the Hedgehog 2 from the Mega Drive version, is that you have to find one of those emerald monitors. So even then, if you collect 50 rings and also find yourself the emerald monitor, then you should be able to clarify to transport to the special stage. So once again, much like how it does in Sonic the Hedgehog Chaos, or Sonic Chaos for short, there are only 5 special stages in total. So even then, because there's another Chaos Emerald, you easily spotted that in the opening cutscene, which Dr. Robotnik usually got that for the whole entire time. So anyways, here we actually have ourselves his new foe in town, which is actually forms of Fang the Sniper, aka Knack the Weasel in America. So even then, that's the only name differences here. But even then, sometimes we're actually going to be interacting with him, but his first contraption is pathetically easy. Like, he can simply just burn himself while he's actually activated his own switch. But even then, all that happens was though is that he just somehow burnt himself, obviously. So yeah, and every time when you actually interact with Fang the Sniper, or Knack the Weasel, if you will, you'll basically get yourselves a Chaos Emerald. So again, there are 5 collectible emeralds as opposed to 6, because even then, you get the 6th and the final one once you get to the very end of the game. So yeah, that's all I can really say about this. Oh yeah, what's odd about this is that every time when you finish up this special stage, your time actually resets to all the way back to 0. So even then, that's a little bit too odd. But even then, it's really good to actually score points, mainly due to the fact that you actually get yourself some continues with it. And just like Sonic Chaos, it's really easy to get continues in this game. Now, there are some advantages to actually get yourself some extra 1-ups in this game, but sometimes they might be uncommon this time around, as opposed to Sonic Chaos. So you get yourselves a whole abundance of extra lives in Sonic Chaos, because you know Sonic Chaos is actually way too easy. In fact, speaking of difficulty, this game is actually a little bit more balanced this time around when it comes to the difficulty in this game. Because, for one, that the levels are now going to be much more longer than Sonic Chaos, and also Sonic the Hedgehog 2 occasionally. And also another thing is worth mentioning, though, is the fact that, although you can also play as Tails in this game, but thankfully, though, they did manage to fix the improvements in the Tails' playthrough on this. Well, obviously, they're going to be going for Sonic's playthrough for the time being, so number 1 is the fact that back in Sonic Chaos is that Tails doesn't have the ability to actually collect the Chaos Emeralds to begin with. This time around, though, in this game in particular, is that you can now actually finally grab the Chaos Emeralds as Tails. So even then, which sounds more radically uncommon, because even then, I have no idea why they actually took that out in Sonic Chaos, though. So anyway, so I believe the second Chaos Emerald monitor is actually the very end of the level, but before I get into that, I just need to go back down here, so that's the way we need to actually go enter it. So even then, that's the way we need to get into. So not only do we actually come across into 5 special stages in this game, much like in Sonic Chaos, and speaking of such though, also much like how it does in Sonic Chaos, is that you actually transport into a different versions of the special stages. That the first special stage is actually forms of the platforming section, and then the second special stage we're actually going to be hit into is actually forms of this little tornado plane sequence. And basically it functions the same way as it does it for Sonic the Hedgehog 2's half-pipe special stages, but except the fact that you're actually on the plane, so even then no need to deal with the half-pipe sequences or anything like that. So thankfully these bombs, originally they're trying to hurt you, but instead you actually get yourselves temporarily stunned, so even then you don't have to worry about these obstacles basically. So yeah, when it comes to the plane tornado special stages, all you have to do in this particular sequence is that you need to grab 80 rings before you actually reach to Fang the Sniper, because even then I always call it Fang the Sniper because that's the name I was so used to at this point, because especially noticeable that he also made his appearance until Sonic the Fighters on the arcade machines, so even then that might be pretty practically common sense, as well as some Sonic Drift 2, which I'm presuming Sylvester is going to deal with that game about during a later time. So yes, once you grab 80 rings at your disposal, Stephen Ender, once you see Sonic is using his thumbs up, means you actually pass. So, Fang the Sniper, when are you gonna deal this time around? Anything a little bit different or something a little bit improvement? Let's just see. He's actually now gonna be using himself his Pogo Spring, which even then, that you can actually sometimes fight against with him. So even then, there's gonna be plenty of times we're gonna have to destroy his contraptions. Even then, although except for the first one because he's already pest easy. But until special stage 2 and 5, then we can actually able to actually fight him properly. So even then, yeah. Once you get enough hits on him, then you should able to actually achieve the Chaos Emerald itself. So in this case, the red one. So even then, that's pretty obvious at this point. Now, unlike in Sonic Chaos, it doesn't transport you to the next level once you finish up with the special stage. Instead, you actually transport back into the previous level you already been into, so, or the current level that you're in, so. Because, you know, you have to deal with these little Chaos Emerald monitors instead of, like, collecting 100 rings, so. And by the way, if you manage to finish the special stage, you actually get yourselves the ring item box, which actually gives you 10 rings, so, yeah. And as you can see right there, I managed to get myself a Tails, icon into this little, you know, gold signpost as far as you might see. Basically, much like how it does in Sonic, Sonic Chaos, is that I'm presuming you actually get yourselves a continue, which I'm presuming that's what I was thinking of correctly. Because, yeah, this game is felt remarkably similar to the Sonic Chaos or Sonic and Tails in Japan. So even then, that's why the game calls it in Japan Sonic and Tails 2, because it feels more likely similar to how it does in the previous installment. I actually found this game to be twice as better than the likes of Sonic Chaos to me, because even then, before I get into that, here we have ourselves the first boss in the game, which actually forms up this weird aircraft turtle type enemy. Which all you do in this guy is pretty simple. We have to jump underneath him when he would jump in on the full ball formation, which I found was pretty simple. But in the second half, you have to deal with these little enemies right there to actually act out as the springs. And then every time you do this, you have to press the jump button at the right time until you actually curve into a ball formation once you jump. So even then, that way it deals the damage. So even then, here he gets 5 hits at the start, and then the last 4 hits at the very end. So even then, that's the only major difference. Oh, here's Knuckles the Echidna. What's he gonna do this time? Oh, he's gonna burn me up. Although, conveniently enough, though, is that it will transport me into a different level, so. Even then, though, Knuckles makes his appearance in this game, so even then, though, I'm assuming this might takes place after the events of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Technically speaking, well, it did manage to came out before Sonic and Knuckles came around, because usually this game came around in 1994, around the same year as when Sonic the Hedgehog 3 came around, as well as before Sonic and Knuckles was released. Even then, there's quite multiple Knuckles in this year so far, or in that particular year so far, so. And also around the same year as when The Lion King was first released in the theater, so even then, and also the first ever Disney sequels ever made, which was The Return of Jafar, which even then, I found it alright in that film, but it's just, it feels a little bit too rushed, I have to say this much, but, anyway, so here we go, folks, on to the next zone in the game, which is actually forms of Sunset Park. Now, it's really easy to lose these rings in this level like this. It's probably because there's too many fans that will try to catch you off guard at points, so anyway. So here's the next Emerald monitor right there. And it's on top of this little loop-de-loop section. So even then, this way it will actually transport us into the third special stage. Now, back in Sonic Chaos is the fact that there are a grand total of, again, 5 special stages in total. But what you can get in these 5 special stages on that game was actually formed of 1 rocket boost section, and 2 platforming sections, and 2 tube sections. So, I'm assuming this game actually contains more accurately 3 platforming sections this time around, and even 2 plane sections. And even then, though, although at the very end, you have to come across into Fang the Sniper every time when you actually just manage to accomplish those sections, so. As you expected, much like any other Sonic games, is that the special stages can get progressively harder as you progress, mainly Special Stage 3 and Special Stage number 5, and even 4 as a result. For Special Stage 3 is the fact that you have to deal with this really tight platforming section, but you have to deal with no time limit, or in this case, no timer boxes. So even then, though, you have to be really flawless at this. But if you made a simple mistake, then you obviously get kicked out of the special stage, mainly if you actually let the time runs out. So that's what I was mainly suggest, but thankfully though, I managed to got plenty of time to actually do this. Even then, if you manage to go too fast on there, you should have some plenty of time. Alright, so Fang the Sniper is now going to be using his aircraft on air, and basically he's pretty simple. We have to basically jump onto him like 3 times, and done. It's pretty simple and pathetically easy, so even then, that's nice try, Fang the Sniper. Maybe do a little bit better this time, maybe due to this special stage 4, but even then we will get into that during later time. But anyways, 3rd Chaos Emerald obtained, which was obviously the yellow colored. So yeah, of all the Game Gear Sonic games I've recently played, this is by far the hardest game to actually complete 100% completionist to me. That's all because of how the fact that some of these special stages are really hard to deal with if in the first try, or in this case the first attempt. But that's okay by me, because even then the version I was going to be using is on Sonic Gems Collection, obviously. So even then because, you know. Alright, so now I managed to get myself the 10 extra rings, because if you know, the ring icon allows me to give, the game gives me 10 rings bonus. So anyway though. Now we move on to Act 2 of Sunset Park. See, even then though, that's, yeah, that's all I can think about. And what's nice about if you ever start this level up, is that we start things off where we're actually riding onto this little minecart right there. So even then we have ourselves a little thrill joyride here. Actually, out of all the Game Gear Sonic games I've ever played, this one is easily one of my favorites of the entirety of the Sonic Game Gear's career. Although, my second favorite will have to be Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and my third favorite will have to be Sonic the Hedgehog Chaos. But this one will have to be the best installment of the Sonic's Game Gear career. Although it can be a little bit too weird at times, even with physics usually involved. But at least as far as this doesn't go glitchy all over the place. But anyway. So the next Chaos Emerald monitor was actually formed all the way to the far right on the top section of this level. And here we go, on to the second tornado plane sequence. Now this one might be a bit tricky this time compared to the first plane special stage. It's the fact that for one, the plane itself is much more faster now. Plus, the only thing you might actually need to watch out for is actually forms of the rings themselves, because sometimes these rings can be randomizably placed. While at the same time, in order to actually collect those rings, you have to let Sonic's head touch them until you actually decide to get those rings. However though, the plane itself does not touch those rings at all, so you have to use your actual head before you actually get yourself some rings to begin with. So even then, kind of a little bit tricky to be honest. In fact, this might actually be the trickiest special stage. Well, not exactly the hardest special stage in the entirety of the Game Gear Sonic game's career. Well, not until when it gets to the final special stage of the game anyway. So even then, that we will get to towards that until we actually get into, you know, the next zone after this. And actually expected from this little zones department, or the acts department in this game, is that much like Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and especially Sonic Chaos, you actually have yourselves 3 acts to begin with. More accurately, just, you know, Act 1 and Act 2 contains the platforming stages. And also, the third act consists of the boss act. So even then, that's all that's usually expected for the Sonic game. Alright then, Fang the Sniper, or Knack the Weasel, what are you going to do this time around? Things are going to be a little bit more challenging this time around. Which we have ourselves a missile to attachment to. So even then, that's a nice little challenge right there. But even then, although conveniently enough though, what makes this special stage so easy to you though is that you have yourself some rings to your disposal, which even then though, you can't necessarily die in one death whatsoever. So, and that was about it. So, yeah, the only trickiest part about this fight though is that you have to dodge the jump over this missile every time because it goes back and forth. Not until when you actually constantly hit Fang, like quite a few times, and then you should be able to deal with the actual you know, boss fight itself. So even then though, we're actually going to get ourselves the 4th Chaos Emerald, which is the form of the Grey Chaos Emerald. So now we got one more emerald left, well, before the actual final level in the game, and also the final boss in the game, so even though we will get towards that during later time. So anyway though, Now, I've heard from a lot of Let's Players out there, they managed to actually try to tackle for this game in particular. Sometimes they don't get themselves the good ending of the game. That's only because of how the fact that so many special stage requirements is easily the hardest part about the game. But even then, no, if you want to look up on the guide, just click into this just watch this particular video and see what I mean until whenever I show you guys the actual Chaos Emerald monitor locations are going to be like. So even then, that should be worth a while. Unfortunately, I've managed to lost track right there because I have no idea what I'm going to be going into. But it's only because of how the fact that, you know, much like any other Game Gear Sonic title. Oh no! God dang it, I fell into the bottomless pit. And speaking of such though, there's my first step for the playthrough. So even then though, since Sonic Chaos, that, it's always been the first step in the entirety of the playthrough, even though it wasn't exactly the perfect run-through, I might add. Whilst unlike the other long plays, they did manage to tackle for these games like quite a no sweat at all. So even then, that's only because of, you know. Speaking of such though, is that I really do love the Sunset Park music, probably the most fitting soundtrack in the entire game. Most notably due to how the fact that it's all excitement and what have you. So, but again, it's really easy to lose rings, but thankfully though, it did manage to fix the improvements over the likes of the previous 3 Sonic titles, mainly due to the Game Gear series. In this game in particular, if you get hit by an enemy, you actually lose 30 rings instead of all of them. So even then, oh, I'm supposed to go that way. I'm such an idiot or coward. But anyway, let's see what reward I get. 10 rings. Okay, that's nice over and all. Oh, actually, it's already over already? I thought it was going to continue for a while. Well, unless if you actually try to think about this, it's the fact that once you get to this sequence right here, this is more accurately Act 3 on Sunset Park, which even then, though, we always do here is basically, it's more likely an auto-scrolling section, which even then, all we have to do is basically you have to, continuously go to the right, and then basically we have to, jump over the bottomless pit over there, or the water even, and occasionally just, destroy those badniks, which are essentially the propeller spike ball type of enemies, which even then they're pretty simple to actually defeat. But even then that the only thing you need to worry about though is the fact that if you lose like all of your rings on that particular section, then if you die on that particular level, sometimes the level title card will actually says Sunset Park Act 3, because even then that's how the acts actually worked out to be. So, and then once you get towards the end though, mainly due to this section here, where we actually introduced into the next boss in the game, which actually forms of this pretty tricky fight. Basically, what you have to do is basically more likely a timing thing, and you have to jump onto this little mighty cannon over there, and that's why you have to deal with this particular cannon enemy. So, I think we'll have to pretty much end things off here, folks, so join us next time on Let's Play Sonic Triple Trouble. It's the fact that we're moving on to the 3rd zone in the game. So yeah, see you guys then. Later, fellas.